Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the broadcast. My name is Justus Knight of Restricted Republic, and I can't thank you enough for being here, and I truly mean that. This audience has grown greatly over the last 7 to 10 days, and that is a testament, I'm hoping, to us attempting to cover all the main news that happens in 24 hours, and that is a plethora of information lately, but we try to get through it as quickly and as accurately as we can. And today, I feel like I'm going to be going through a landmine field because every sensitive topic that could possibly happen in 24 hours has happened. We shouldn't have concern about broadcasting on that, but here you have to watch every word, which I do a very diligent job to respect the rules and authority of Google. Even though their employees now have Google in question, which we're about to get to. I told you, it is a landmine field, but our primary article is actually on one of the United States actually having to change its name because of undeniable links to slavery. No, you didn't hear that wrong. One of the U.S. states has to change its name forever. And we're going to get there as quickly as we can. Before I do, I'm going to ask you once again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I certainly hope you will. Make sure your bell is checked so you're alerted to upcoming broadcasts. Always love your comments and love your thumbs up if you agree with what's going on and you just want to lend that level of support. Another level of support, although I don't ask for donations here, I provide you something in return, which is restrictedrepublic.com. Lisa and I created that platform so we can extend our broadcast onto more detailed versions on topics that aren't advertiser friendly here. Out of respect to Google, we move those over to Restricted Republic. I certainly hope you'll join us there. That's your means of supporting all the work we do to make sure you are continually informed on everything occurring in the world around you. Use coupon code BAND, get 14 days on us. And also just for $60, an entire year subscription. That's $5 a month. I hope you feel it's worth the support level. But now we're going to move on into the broadcast, the landmine broadcast, as I call it. First, we had warned yesterday this was coming. That's right. B has started to crumble because DC police simply won't allow this published on the Epic Times. DC police start clearing autonomous zone protesters near the White House. There was no doubt that was going to come. If you had watched a few of Trump's tweets, you would have seen that coming. But I want you to watch here exactly what's occurring in the zone as they start to move protesters out.
Come on, guys, calm down some. Go down a little bit. 1, 2, 3,
We're doing wrong. We're not allowed to be on the sidewalk.
You don't have to do this.
How are y'all able to do this? We're on a sidewalk.
This is wrong.
Not in the street.
You know it's wrong.
You guys can't keep us off the fucking sidewalk. Just letting it be.
That's just a small, brief look as they start to advance onto the protesters to clear the square, which you knew was coming. They had vandalized the church once again with the letters BHAZ, standing for Black House Autonomous Zone. It was only a matter of time before that boiled over. This coming after they tried to tear down the statue of Andrew Jackson. Trump coming out today and putting a severe warning against that, and he has authorized the federal government to arrest anyone who vandalizes or destroys statue. This also on the Epic Times. That comes with a fine of $10,000 or prison time of 10 years. I'd love to see your comments. I know what my feedback is on that. I think any history that has been up for an amount of time, either history should not be forgotten. Either way, removing those monuments removes our history. And we all know that none of our histories are perfect. That doesn't mean we remove them and take an eraser to them, simply forgetting about our past. That serves no purpose but for the defacing of America. And that's what happens in many regimes outside this great United States of America. We've seen that happen in Venezuela when they removed history. We've seen that happen in Germany when they removed history. We've seen that happen throughout history, and we don't want to repeat those events. That is always and will remain my position on this discussion point. But there's many battles going on right now. There's battles going on within Google. I told you it's a landmine field today. Their employees demanding that they defang and defund law enforcement agencies. This goes kind of in lockstep with their original request to defund Project Maven and military projects. Now they are requesting that Google not use its technology for law enforcement. Where this ends, nobody knows, but I can probably fathom a guess that that is more than likely not going to happen. Here was another look at the protest outside Washington Square. We are happy to report that there was no crime committed in the Bubba Wallace NASCAR incident. I'll show you a little bit more details on that. I want you to listen to Bubba here just for one moment.
Flag, but my understanding is that the only people who have access to the area where the noose was found are the racing teams and perhaps a few essential workers. So what would you say to those people who are doubting that this even happened or that it's true?
Yeah, just like Steve Phelps said, it offends me that people would go to those measures. But again, I'm not shocked. People are entitled to their own opinion to make them feel good, whatever.
Entitled to their own opinion to make him feel good. He's not shocked. Well, unfortunately, sometimes until these investigations are done, you don't have the full scope of the news, but we are very thankful that the FBI has concluded, as published on the Washington Post, that there was no crime committed in the Bubba Wallace garage stall. The noose was there since October. We went a little bit deeper into this article. Federal investigators said photographic evidence confirmed the noose found hanging in Wallace's garage stall Sunday afternoon had been there since October. And we went even a step further and found a picture of an example of what the noose was. It was a garage closer, aka fashioned in the shape of a noose. It had been there. This is what many of the pull ropes were fashioned like. It had no bearing on Bubba. Thankfully, it had been like that in its history of closing that garage door. But we have a great deal of sensitivity right now around the world, obviously, but more important in the United States. Baptist and Walmart criticize rebel-themed Mississippi flag. You see, it's not only the state that we're about to disclose that has to change its name, but many states now may have to change their flag. I'll read this article for you shortly. Published on the Associated Press, the Confederate-themed Mississippi flag drew opposition Tuesday from two big forces in the culturally conservative state, Southern Baptists and Walmart. Walmart said it will stop displaying the Mississippi flag while the state debates whether to change the design. The Mississippi Baptist Convention says lawmakers have a moral obligation to remove the Confederate battle emblem from the state flag because many people are hurt and shamed by it. I'm interested in what your opinion is on this. Again, these are all very sensitive issues. You understand why sometimes mainstream media avoids reporting on all the sides of it. But in reality, this is what's happening in the world around us. And if we're to give our opinion and we're to have open discussion and resolve these issues, it's imperative that we discuss all sides of the issues. Fauci says, Fauci. I have trouble even saying his name at this point in time. Fauci says institutional racism contributes to coronavirus impact in black communities. Obviously, he states, this article published on Fox News, the African American community has suffered from racism for a very, very long period of time, Fauci testified, and I cannot imagine that this has not contributed to conditions that they find themselves in, economically and otherwise. So the answer, Congressman, is yes. Fauci also gave other reasons why minority communities may face a disproportionate impact. One was a greater risk of infection from work. Because of economic and other considerations, the job that the majority of them would find themselves in does not allow them to protect themselves by looking into a computer and doing telework. That statement's difficult. In my opinion, that statement could appear as virtue signaling in some ways. And also, the statement in itself is sensitive to me, not only for the African American race that he references, but other races that would share in that same similar work condition. And I think everybody has to be very cognizant and careful when they're making these statements. And that's why I said virtue signaling in some way, because you're excluding other races. And in an effort for everybody to be oversensitive, they're actually tripping on things that they shouldn't say. In my opinion, Dr. Fauci should not have said that. That's insensitive to many races, and that's simply not okay. And we can have that opinion, as I'm sure you would too, now that we've put it into that context, because we have severe issues here in the United States right now. Our country is crumbling and burning every day. Armed protesters take over Atlanta Wendy's parking lot where Rayshard Brooks was killed, report says. The article goes on to state armed protesters stood guard on Tuesday at an Atlanta area Wendy's, the site where Rayshard Brooks, a black man, was shot twice in the back by an Atlanta police officer and he died earlier this month. Earlier in the day, a group of people had taken over the burnt-out property in South Atlanta, according to local reports. They claimed the Atlanta police weren't doing much to solve the problem, making life for those living in the neighborhood a living nightmare. And I feel for those people, because it has been a living nightmare for all of us. It's been a living nightmare to watch our country crumble. It's been a living nightmare to see those who were handled inappropriately by the police, and now those who aren't defended by the good police. Because it's an almost impossible brushstroke to put over everyone, because there is no universal solution. And in America, we struggle when there's no universal solution, when the only solution is unity. And that's not what we're demonstrating now. The state, by the way, earlier in the broadcast, that will have to change its name is Rhode Island. Considers name change due to slavery connotations. Will go down in the article. What's in a name? For the state of Rhode Island, years of acrimony over an official designation with connotations to slavery. They go on. The change is brewing in the union's smallest state, as Rhode Island Governor Gina Raimondo signed an executive order on Monday taking the first steps to change the state's full name, the state of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations. The plantation part of the name has come under increased scrutiny following widespread protests after the killing of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. As I told you earlier, this was going to be a broadcast full of sensitivities. And we here at Restricted Republic remain sensitive to the plight of all individuals. And it is imperative that everyone be treated fairly and equally. But the outcome of what we are seeing around the country is not promoting fairness or equality, because we've seen very few measures taken to promote that on either side of the aisle. So there must be a better solution, because we have paramount issues that we, the people, all of us, everyone in America, must now face. This may go unnoticed to most. Revealed millions of Americans can't afford water as bills rise 80% in a decade. The very substance we need to live has increased in price by 80% in the last 10 years. With COVID and the necessity for clean water everywhere, that is of critical importance. Our infrastructure is crumbling, and that will only rise the cost of water even further. But all our funding is now going into defending COVID and now what will be the cleanup from the protests that we've seen. And our politicians they're off trying to resolve things that our country has never been good at resolving. So what's going to happen with this? Is our water bill going to go up to 100, 120, 130? That is a portion of where our focus needs to be, not only on reform, but on the very elements that we need to survive being protected. But now we're going to take it a little bit to a lighter note. We are watching, this is overseas now, that cinemas are starting to open back up, and there's been much to do about this and what it would look like. So I'm going to show you here so you can enjoy what the first UK major cinema is doing. Additional cleaning before films, queuing system outside, hand sanitizer stations everywhere, space between seats, staggered film starts, and staggered end times to reduce crowds crossing into one another, and suite stations will remain closed. Protective screens at all windows, which we've had here in the United States for some time. But this begs a larger question, because I've been waiting for it to brew up, is the fact of paper money. When will that be blamed for being potentially a spreader of COVID-19? Now, that doesn't go without basis, YouTube. There is articles out there about that. New York Post, who offers advice about using cash as coronavirus continues to spread. This goes to the cashless society. And will this be used as a springboard to assure that cashless society down the road? It seems that COVID has been a very strong determinant in changing rules and procedures and the way we handle our daily life, as it is a sledgehammer that has bulldozed anything we've ever seen before. So don't be surprised if this is the next element that they're really going to be pushing after. And then we need to report on the unfortunate death of ex-Clinton friend and associate, philanthropist, and multimillionaire Steve Bing, who jumped to his death from his high-rise building, and he blamed that on the solitude and missing everyone from being locked in from COVID. Unfortunately, now he has disappeared from the population, and that is very unfortunate. So much that he had contributed, Steve Bing, the film financier and philanthropist who backed hit movies, from Robert Zemeckis' The Polar Express and Beowulf to the Rolling Stones concert movie Shine a Light, has passed away. It's not an easy day today to broadcast when you have a series of news like this that you have to worry about treading on every single word. And I thank you for being patient. I had to roll that just a little bit slower to be very cognizant and beg questions, because that's what this station does. We beg questions and an open forum of communications so that we can discuss these issues that are facing us and find real solutions, because I'm not seeing that come from our politicians. So it must come down to we the people. That's you and that's I. And that's everybody else, who need to unite against everything happening around us and find real solutions to the issues that every race and creed and color face. It's imperative to the future of our great republic. For we the people, united we stand, divided we fall. And that is no more true than it is today. So I want to thank you each again. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I certainly hope you will as we rocket through all the major events occurring in the world around us. I also hope you'll join us over at Restricted Republic, where we extend onto not only these broadcasts, but other topics entirely. It is a full catalog, and it will take you a long, long time to get through it. It is growing as exponentially fast as this network is, and that, we feel from the heart, is because that's where we broadcast from, which is the heart. So Godspeed and God bless. Until next time, Justus Knight, signing out.